Hi everyone, it's Kelly here from spiritualawakeningsigns.com, and today we're covering how and why to use incense, which can be really helpful throughout the spiritual awakening process. Now there are a few things that you need to know about it if you're going to want to be using it, or even if you use it regularly, there may be some things you don't realise and how it's actually affecting your awakening progress. So we'll get to cover that in just a little minute. Now the first thing I want to do is to tell you what you're going to need. Now if you're using incense at any time, you're going to need, of course, an incense stick, which is part one. You're going to need something to light the stick with, so a lighter or matches or something else that you want to use. And of course, the most important thing is you're going to need an incense holder. Now I've had this one for years and years. You can get them in spiritual shops, you can order them online, you can get them pretty much anywhere, but it's very important, of course, that you have a holder, because if you don't have a holder, something to actually put the incense into to catch all the ash, you can have problems and fires, and we don't want anything like that. We're trying to keep things calm and collected and zen, so we don't want any accidents. So make sure that you get an incense holder so that you've got somewhere to sit your incense sticks, and so that there's no ashes flying around or anything like that. So there are a few things you need to know before you use the incense. So first of all, what I want you to know is that people quite often think that incense will clear you personally. It won't clear you, but it will clear the room around you. So you will feel a big difference when you use incense. If it's not something that you regularly use, I highly advise that you do use it. It makes a huge difference. And I can still remember the very first time that I used incense years ago. I'd never used it before, and I was doing some spiritual training at the time. And the teacher that I had, when I said, "Oh, that smells lovely," she said, "Oh, take a box and use it." I thought, that's great. And I remember going home and using it and walking back into the room where I'd used it and just feeling the incredible difference in the room. I could feel that the energy had lifted. It felt so light. It was wonderful. And it became a regular practice for me. Every day I like to burn an incense, particularly in the mornings, and just set the space that I'm going to be in for the entire day. Particularly if I'm working, it's very important. So that's definitely something to note. Now, if you're looking to buy incense, of course you can get it online, and you can get it in spiritual shops. Sometimes you can even get it in health food shops if it's a little bit alternative. Now, buying it online is fine, and there's no particular brand that I would recommend, because what I've found over time is that it's not so much about the brand or the type, it's about how your energies naturally react to it. So what you're looking for is, what smell do you really like off of the incense? You know, maybe you pick a few up if you're in a store and you kind of just sense what one your system needs. And of course, sometimes incense has different meanings. A lot of different ones are for different purposes and can affect you differently. So it's important, even though you can try lots of them, you'll usually find that there's one or two that you just find that when you use it, you're like, oh, I just feel really calm. And the reason is that it's not that it's doing really anything to your personal energy, but it is setting an environmental tone energetically that you're then spending your time in, and that can make a huge difference. Clearing the space round about you is really like setting the foundations for good energetic health, and it's very important when you're going through spiritual awakening to really align with that and to take care of your energetic health. So like I said, it clears your space, it doesn't clear you, but it's really good to make that space available, and really it supports your awakening too. So the other thing that I want to cover is why you would want to use it throughout spiritual awakening. Well, really what you're doing is you're making sure that no matter what's going on, no matter how your energies are reacting to the process or how difficult you're finding it, that you have kind of like a calm space where your energies can rest. Now, this comes with a little tip. It's really important to note that if you're going through spiritual awakening, if you're going through a dark night of the soul, if you're having a really challenging awakening, or you're feeling like your life is falling apart, if it's at crisis level, I would advise that you don't use incense at all. I would actually advise that you don't use any sort of a spiritual energetic stimulant. So anything that affects your energy, you want to take a little break from just for just now. Because when our energies are so charged like they are through spiritual awakening, and they're very sensitive, quite often things that affect your energies will have the opposite effect. They'll really make it feel worse, they'll make it feel more overwhelming. So take a little break and you can always come back to it. But what you want to do is just set that space so that when you're going through spiritual awakening, whether it's the room that you work in, whether it's the space that you live in, wherever it is, you're burning that incense and you're allowing it to clear the energy from the room so that you have an environment where your energies can just rest. They're not being overwhelmed by other energetic information. It's just a clear space where you can think clearly, you can center yourself, and you can just kind of manage the awakening process in a way that is comforting, calming, relaxing, which is really important because you don't get much rest when you're going through this process, but it definitely helps you to rest and recuperate, which is really, really helpful. So let's talk about how to use these things, which is great. So of course you need your holder. Like I say, it's the most important thing. I've never used incense without a holder. It's a recipe for disaster, and definitely we don't want any homemade things. Just get a holder and be safe. So you pop it in so that it's held up like this, okay? And then what you're going to do, of course, is you're going to light it at the end, and you really need to give it just a little minute, and maybe just a few more seconds than you would if you were lighting a candle. Give it a little moment for that flame to burn, and what you're actually looking for is when the end of the incense kind of glows that kind of orange colour, you'll see it start to go really, really orange. And what I like to do at this point is just put a little thought out for what I want the incense to do. So I just put my thoughts out and say, please center me, please calm the environment that I'm in, please settle the energies and make it a clear, relaxing space where I can focus. Then I blow it out. And then that's the point where your incense starts to smoke. Now if you do that and blow the flame out before you've got that kind of orange tone to the end of the incense, then what you're going to find is that it doesn't smoke properly, or it keeps going out when you're using it. I had that problem in the beginning as well. So that's how it's done. And then of course you're just going to allow it to burn out. The ash will fall into the little tray and that'll be you. So I tend to just leave it at the side of wherever I'm working, or a great place to put it, of course, you want to make sure it's not near anything that could catch fire or anything that the ash is going to affect. But a great place I've found to put it is just to sit it in front of an open window, and then as long as it's not windy, as the fresh air moves in, it takes the smoke with it. It kind of clears out the room. And you also find if you open the windows, you'll clear the energy, clear the space, and it has a really big effect when you're wanting just that clear space in a room. It has a huge impact. I use it every single day. I use it when I'm doing my work, and I use it particularly after, you know, if you've been in one space for a long time, or if I've been working and focusing and I need just a little refresh, that's the time when I burn some incense and open the windows. It makes a huge difference. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and bear in mind that if you are looking for something that's going to clear a bit more deeply, now remember the incense will clear the space that you're in, but if you're looking to clear yourself, you need to learn about energy clearing, and we have a free masterclass. It's one of our best masterclasses. It's Energy Clearing 101. It will teach you everything that you need to know about clearing your energy and keeping your energy clear, particularly as you move through spiritual growth or the spiritual awakening process. It's totally free. You'll find it in the link below, and you can check it out and learn lots about this process because it makes such a huge difference. Thank you for watching. Remember to click below to be notified whenever we go live, and if you're watching on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We've got lots more to come.